Good morning. Good morning from Thailand. I've been pulled out of a warm, cozy bed on a chilly winter morning here in northern Thailand because there's more to say on the subject of love, the eclipse of love, the eclipse of hate, all of that. So again, I'm just going to tune in. There's much flowing through my mind and I want to bring it across in a way that's clear. This message is about love and fear because there is really only one line of experience or one line of emotions, and in one direction is love and the other is fear. And on the spectrum of fear, we have the energy of hate. And it's hate that I want to talk about today, and becoming a hater. As you probably know, in Facebook, you can curate your news feed so that you only see messages from people you're interested in seeing messages from. And that over time, as you curate your Facebook news feed, you'll really see what you want to see. So quite a while ago, I started curating my news feed so that I was receiving messages from friends and family, seeing what's up with them, and pictures and that kind of thing, but also what we would call light workers on the planet, and the conscious people, the people who were here to do good in the world, were doing good in the world, are doing good in the world. Conscious people, what we could say is conscious, intentional people who are creating conscious, intentional lives for the betterment of all. Okay, so that's kind of a broad overview. And what I'm seeing increasingly is hate messages from even the conscious community. So this part of what I'm going to say may seem very American focused, and in a sense it is, but it impacts everybody because this is related to the current president of the United States. And all that of what he is triggering in us. So last night after the live video I did here, I did a little bit of Facebook scrolling, as we do, and checking some things out. Again, in my news feed, among conscious people, I saw some extraordinarily hateful things. One friend posted a video of a short clip of an interview with someone famous. I don't know who she is. I don't track with sort of fame, but very much anyway. And an interviewer was asking this famous woman, "What would Donald Trump learn from your play?" And she goes, "Donald Trump, I hope he doesn't come. I wouldn't want him to come." And the interviewer says, the media person says, "Well, why?" And she goes, "Because I effing hate him." Oh, great. That's helpful. But this is exactly the issue that we're looking at here. Do you remember the movie The Secret? Do you remember the movie The Secret and the movie What the Bleep Do We Know? And how The Secret sort of romanticized the law of attraction and showed some really fun or superficial things you can do with the power of your mind. And the movie What the Bleep Do We Know shows the sort of the science behind, the energy behind the way we are creating our reality. And even though mainstream doesn't teach this in science or anything else, many of us have come to understand that we are creating all of it. We are creating all of it. But it's not as simple as The Secret. And it's not as remote as the science that's put forth in a movie like What the Bleep Do We Know? We are creating all the time. And it's a frequency. And the frequency that we are emanating comes from the repetitive thoughts and feelings that we are running in our beings. So, if you are running the frequency of fear, which is exactly what the puppet masters want from you, they want you to run the frequency of fear, alienation, and separation, because that keeps the game going. So back up for a moment. Let's take a very high perspective. We are eternal beings, divine sparks of the Creator, having a momentary experience in form. We are part of creation and the Creator. We are extraordinarily powerful beings who've forgotten who we are. Some of us are just starting to remember, but when it comes to actually consciously aligning consciousness with our creative power, we're like little kids learning how to crawl. We've forgotten. We have to learn how. But when we begin to get a little bit of momentum with this, we begin to understand that the frequency we are running is what's creating our reality. And those that are controlling this planet are banking on you not managing your frequency, you staying in the frequency of hate and fear and alienation and separation and fighting and war and hating, so that the game can keep playing in this toxic, poisonous way. The trouble is, we don't have the luxury anymore of playing a toxic game. We are on the precipice of extinction. And again, that could be, you could be like, fear. But it's our responsibility to make the change. Ultimately, we are eternal beings. So when you pass from this life, you wake up in the life of your eternity. Or if you pass with fear and anxiety, perhaps you get recycled back in here. But for the time being, it is not our role to try and ascend and escape this. Our time will come. All of our times will come to leave this story, this journey. Right now, we're here. We're here in form. And we are living on a planet called Gaia, who is a living, breathing being. And she's probably, to use an Italian mother, grandmother expression, up to here with our toxic behavior, the creations we are creating, the alienation, the hate, the war, the destruction. And yes, you and I are not the decision makers of that. I get that. But on a frequency level, we are participating in facilitating hate, war, alienation, fear, anxiety, all of it. As long as we keep hating and pointing the finger out there at somebody else. So, we are creating this. We are living on a planet right now, Gaia, who is spinning through the cosmos and has spun into an area of the cosmos at a higher frequency. And thus, she has increased her frequency. And we know this because the Schumann resonance has increased. This is not woo-woo talk. This is science. And what's happening is that frequency increase is making it really difficult for people who are operating at low frequency to function. They're losing their marbles or simply having a hard time managing life. The anxiety is rising. The fear is rising. And what do? Well, those of us who have already been on this path for a while have been really working to raise our vibrational frequency. We have to keep every day coming back to center, come into your meditative state, come into union, yoke your spirit with your body so that your spirit runs the show and not your ego. And when you see something arise that's a conflict in your life, rather than hating on it, fighting it, from personal to political, rather than hating on it and fighting it, we have to say, this is a mirror for me. How can I turn within and heal this from within so that I don't run that frequency of hate anymore? So I've had some interesting opportunities in the last year to deal with this on a very personal level with some very intense, unreasonable, violent attacks toward me. Particularly one very close situation that happened numerous months ago. If you know me personally, you know that backstory. I could have absolutely counterattacked, and I could have dealt a pretty fatal blow with my words and my knowing, of the backstory of the attacker. And I knew that that was just going to contribute to exactly the problem in the first place. This was character assassination at a very interesting level. And I knew that I had to turn within and not attack, but to take responsibility for my part in creating this. And as soon as I did this, magical helpers came into my life, magical helpers who taught me prayers and guidance on how to release that anger, that energy. And I'll share that with you in a little bit here. But I recently got retested again. And it was, again, really interesting because the desire to engage in the battle on a personal level, especially when someone assassinates my character, is like, it's so tempting. It's so tempting to do that. And I knew that I couldn't, because I knew I was the person who would be too hurtful in the way that I delivered it. And I had to reel in and be responsible and go within and pray and meditate and pray and meditate and surrender all of the hateful feelings to the divine, so that I could come into alignment with the frequency of love and make a decision from the frequency of love of what needed to happen next. So I suspect that all of you who are watching this now, and thank you all of you who are joining here, and all of you who may watch this, and all of you who don't ever see this, we're all facing personal challenges in our life. Maybe it's with a relationship with a loved one or a family member. Maybe it's a relationship with a friend. Maybe it is a relationship in the community or some association you're dealing with. There are stubborn, blockheaded behavior people everywhere. We've long since lost the studies of logic. And so there's a lot of reaction going on. And the media perpetuates this continually. It perpetuates it continually. Let's hate, let's fear. Let's hate, let's fear. That's what the agenda is, and it's what's been being rolled out in media of every kind, the news, movies, you name it. Entertainment has become violent, dissing, character assassination humor. It's like, it's so unworthy of the divine beings that we are. It is so unworthy of us. And yet we've sort of gradually come down to this level of being entertained by violence and hate. So when it comes to this person who is sitting in the president's seat of the United States, there's a few things that we need to remember. The most difficult is that we created him. I didn't say we voted for him. I certainly didn't. And many of the people who are hating on him now didn't. We created him because the frequency we emanate is creative. And when we run the frequency of hate, fear, alienation for tens, hundreds, thousands of years as a society, what we create are hateful, ignorant warmongers. So the biggest, most profound thing that any of us can do is take responsibility for the creation of that person being in charge, which is actually not the truth anyway. He's just another puppet to seed more divisiveness. And he's, in that role, he's done a great job, because people who were really holding the light are falling down in hate now. So that's the first thing, is that we have to look at that and say, wow, we created that. So if I don't like that creation, how am I contributing to that war, hate, violence, and fear? Maybe I need to go within and start working within. So that's the first thing. Are there political actions to take? Yes. Would switching him for someone else make a huge difference? Not if the control system behind the puppet master screen is the same. No. Again, we have to turn within, and we have to begin here. And the first thing is we have to stop hating. We have to stop allowing ourselves to become hateful. And I know that's not an easy thing to hear for some of us. It wasn't easy for me to hear either. It wasn't easy for me to look and look deeply at what was within myself that was divisive and hateful and warring and arguing and judging this, judging. Oh my God, this is exactly what we're not liking when other people do to us, and yet we do it all the time. So how do you do this? How do you get free of that habituated state of mind? Here's what's working for me, and this comes from A Course in Miracles and a teacher, channeler named Tina Louise Spalding, who shared it with me, but it's from A Course in Miracles. The first part is, please transform my perception so that I could see the truth. So you can ask your higher self, you can ask your angels, you can ask your, the creator, whatever is divinity or sacred for you. Please transform my perception so that I can see the truth. It's amazing what insights will come when you see that, when you ask that. And the second part is, I offer up my warring mind. I offer up my contribution to hate. I offer up my fear, whatever it is that you feel running, you notice running in you. I offer it up to the divine or to the Holy Spirit, to whatever it is that speaks to you, to the goddess, that I may be healed and free to love. And so you can change this up depending on what's going on for you. If you have a particular family conflict, a particular agenda that's going on for you, you can say, I offer up this conflict to the Holy Spirit that we may both be healed and free. Or you can say, I offer up all of my judgment about this and all of my anger about this to the divine that we may both be healed and free. You offer it up. You surrender the warring mind. You surrender the hatefulness. You surrender the fear. And you ask for the divine, for your angels and guides to come down and bring that love and offer that love and help you to align, to resonate with the frequency of love, to shift from the fear to the love, to make the shift from fear to love. Please, brothers and sisters who watch this, don't let hate eclipse the frequency of love that you are.